Tonight's theme is something I'm sure none of you are interested in, and probably none of you have ever encountered it before. We're going to be talking about frustrated love. As you saw in the little skit, what often starts off as, in the case of a romantic relationship, everything very slam bang and intense, but sooner or later the thrill fades, frustration enters and soon turns to wrath. What are we going to do about that? It is human to long for lasting, satisfying relationships. Yet at the same time, when we notice what's going on around us and with us, we see that human beings are really having a tough time in any kind of relationship. What's going on in society today, particularly in the first world, and certainly you'll see it in New Zealand, is fragmentation in terms of social bonds, family relationships, romantic relationships. In fact, people don't even expect these things to last. You just have to do the best you can for the moment. And that standard is accepted as what is, and in the skit you saw what might have happened if the couple had survived the Titanic together. After 10 years, they're ready to take each other's head off. You might say a more civil way of handling the situation would be just to admit to each other that the thrill is gone, things aren't the same as when they started, and both persons should, move on, if they haven't already done so on the side. This kind of response, which is so prevalent these days, is actually a form of cynicism. Look, we want to love, we want sustainable relationships, but don't expect things to work out. So therefore, be prepared to make the necessary adjustments. There's no harm in having loved and lost. It's a game, it's a battle. You get out of relationships, particularly romantic relationships. You get out what you can get out for a certain amount of time. As I said, this response is actually cynical. What do you want out of life? It doesn't get any better than this. Let's flash back to around 1850 in London. Unless you were of the aristocratic class, back then your lifespan as a commoner, or less, would probably be about 35 years. So, according to the way things were done in the middle of the 19th century, you were definitely married by the time you were 20, but you wouldn't have to worry about decades in the relationship, because one or both of you would probably be dead, by the time you're 35. So sociologists say that human beings now are facing a unique situation in which they long for lifelong relationships, but it seems that their psychological dynamics, their genetic hardwiring, doesn't allow them to fulfill such aspirations. So what to do? On the one hand, there's this longing for lifelong relationships that work out. On the other hand, there's the reality that all kinds of relationships, family relationships, romantic relationships, even work relationships between employer and employee, it's all so temporary. What to do? I'd like you to feel this paradox, this very troublesome issue. The longing for what will last and endure and be rewarding, companionship. I don't think anyone here wants to be alone. Nor do I think anyone here really wants to spend a whole lifetime of relationship shopping. You'd like to feel that you'll find your soul partner. You'd like to feel that your family that you're part of will stick together, even though statistics say no way. You'd like to feel like in the good old days when you take a job with a particular enterprise and stick with it all your life and advance to the ranks. But all those things have become non-existent now. So what to do? We cannot erase this longing for durable relationships, satisfying relationships. At the same time, what's happening is something else. Is there any solution that will solve this crisis? Some scientists, very seriously, not crackpots, but very serious scientists are suggesting that the only solution is a biochemical one. Administering to human beings neurochemicals that will help you to see your relationship in a fresher way. You may know that when you fall in love, there's so many neurochemicals that are dominating the situation. And some of them are more addictive than cocaine. That may explain why you've seen some persons who just can't resist falling in love again and again and again. You get a high from it. And then, of course, there's the ebb and flow of passions. How to sustain the emotional enthrallment, the emotional thrill, as well as the passionate dedication. Quite a few scientists are suggesting human beings haven't developed to the point where they can have sustainable relationships over many decades. Therefore, why not rely on neurochemicals? If you feel that, for example, your partner has lost that touch, has lost sensitivity, and is no longer fascinated by you, you could get some oxytocin spray, and yes, the spray does exist, and just spray it up your partner's nostrils, and suddenly he or she sees you in a brighter way. So many scientists are presenting that. Look, we've got to do something here. You're not going to erase the longing of the human being for relationships. Yet, at the same time, the relationships aren't working out. So why not rely on neurochemistry? Some biochemical supplements. There was a survey done in the UK. And men were asked this question, and women were asked the question. The question was, would it be acceptable to you if neurochemicals were used to enhance your relationship and perk it up.